Have you ever heard of the god of nature who represents the wildest and uncontrollable desire? Pan, with his goat-like body and unrestrained passion, is one of the most intriguing figures in Greek mythology. But behind his story lies a powerful lesson about what happens when desire turns into obsession and how freedom can be the key to survival. In today's video, we will dive into a tale of unrequited love, power, resistance, and music. Stay until the end because the journey of Pan and the beautiful nymph Syrinx will surprise you, and you will discover something profound about human desire that could change your perspective forever. Get ready, because you won't want to miss the moral of this story. Now, let's explore 10 fascinating facts about this tale. 10. Pan, the god of nature in the vast realm of Greek deities. Pan stands out as both a fascinating and unsettling figure. Born to Hermes, the messenger of the gods, Pan has a hybrid body, a human torso combined with the limbs and hooves of a goat, reflecting his deep connection to the wildness of nature. This distinct form, so different from the Olympian, symbolizes the rawness of life in the woods and pasture, where human rules lose their power and instinct prevails. Unlike other gods who resided on sacred mountain or in endless skies, Pan made his home among the hills and forests of Arcadia. Thus, he was the guardian of nature in its most primal form, symbolizing both fertility and the dangers that the natural world can present. With his dual nature, Pan reminded humanity that nature is not only beauty, but also chaos. Pan's figure brings a rich duality to Greek mythology. While he governs vital forces, celebrates music, and revels in pleasure, his behavior can also be interpreted as a warning about the dangers of excess. He embodies what is most wild within us, closer to our primordial impulses. He serves as a mythological mirror of our own nature, reminding us that when we abandon reason, we become slaves to our instincts. 9. Lascivious behavior. Pan, although a god, personified impulses that humans often struggle to control. His reputation for lasciviousness transcended myths, making him a symbol of the untamed forces of desire. Unlike Zeus, whose romantic pursuits were often characterized by intensity, Pan did not court with promises or divine gifts. He pursued with brutality and insistence, embodying the dark and unrestrained side of desire. His lasciviousness serves as a metaphor for the absence of limits, a force that does not recognize consent or respect for individuality. Pan did not merely desire, he demanded. This reckless compulsion made him a feared figure, but also a living warning about the dangers of surrendering completely to our instinct. By rejecting the norms that govern moral behavior, Pan became the embodiment of what can destroy harmony not just with others, but within oneself. In mythology, Pan's behavior functions as a moral reflection on the importance of control and rationality. As gods were often used to represent human traits in their most extreme forms, Pan symbolizes the most unrestrained aspect of passion. His lasciviousness, while natural to his divine essence, compels us to reflect on the impact of our actions when driven solely by impulse. 8. The Torn Nymph. The story of the nymph torn apart at Pan's command is one of the darkest and most revealing episodes in his mythology. She had refused to yield to his advances, wishing to preserve her freedom and autonomy. In a world where consent was often a mere shadow, the nymph's choice was revolutionary, a declaration that one's body does not belong to another by right, but is the territory of the one who inhabits it. However, Pan's response demonstrated that he would not accept denial. His will overshadowed any resistance. The scene of violence, while cruel, is rich in symbolism. The act of tearing the nymph apart serves as a chilling metaphor for the consequences of disrespecting another's rights, reflecting a total denial of their dignity. In destroying the nymph, Pan not only disregards her will, but obliterates the beauty she represented. What has been destroyed can never be restored. Yet it is precisely in this act of destruction that the true moral lesson lies. It reflects the consequences of the abuse of power, the repression of legitimate desire for another, and the irreversible impact of ignoring the humanity of those we desire. This story, despite its brutality, also prompts us to consider the boundaries that desire must have in relation to another's will. The pain inflicted by Pan's actions is not merely physical, but spiritual and moral. By disrespecting the nymph's freedom, he not only loses the chance for genuine love, but condemns himself to an empty, eternal quest without meaning or fulfillment. 7. The Pursuit of Syrinx. The story of Pan and Syrinx is an emblematic portrait of blind obsession and unrequited desire. Syrinx, a graceful nymph and lover of freedom, represents the purity of the autonomous spirit, one that does not submit to any force beyond her own will. Pan, on the other hand, emerges as the personification of uncontrolled desire, unable to accept a no as an answer. The pursuit begins as a desperate chase, a clash between freedom and the tyranny of desire. Syrinx, in her flight, symbolizes resistance, a silent scream that even gods do not have the right to subjugate another. Each step she takes is a struggle for the survival of her dignity. Every mile traveled a reaffirmation of her will to be free. Pan, however, is relentless. He sees neither the pain, fear, nor desperation in Syrinx. To him, everything boils down to the satisfaction of his own desire. This pursuit invites us to reflect on the impact of obsession. When we seek something with such intensity that we ignore the consequences for others, we are, in a way, dehumanizing those around us. Syrinx, upon finding her sisters, seeks a solution that transcends the physical. In transforming into a reed, she sacrifices her form but preserves her essence. Her metamorphosis is not merely an escape, but a silent protest against oppression. It serves as a reminder that sometimes resistance requires renouncing something precious, but freedom, dignity are priceless. 6. Transformation into reed. The transformation of Syrinx into reed is one of the most poetic and meaningful moments in Pan's mythology. When her sisters, in an act of compassion and protection, transform her into a plant, they not only save her physically from the relentless pursuit of Pan, but also place her in a form that symbolizes both delicacy and resilience. The reed, flexible and light, can bend to the wind without breaking, suggesting a depth of wisdom. Resistance does not always have to be a frontal struggle. It can also be a subtle adaptation to circumstances, preserving one's inner integrity. This metamorphosis teaches us about the importance of knowing when to resist and when to transform. Sometimes direct confrontation can be detrimental, and true strength lies in finding a way to preserve oneself without losing essence. Syrinx, upon being transformed, gains the ability to transcend Pan's insane pursuit, yet she does not lose her essence of beauty and purity. She becomes something new while still being herself, albeit in another form. This reflects the idea that, even in the face of adversity, we can find ways to survive and, moreover, to thrive while maintaining our authenticity. This change also reveals a profound moral lesson. Resistance should not be viewed solely as a means to confront the oppressor, but as a path of adaptation and, ultimately, transformation. By being turned into a reed, Syrinx does not submit to defeat. Rather, she finds a new way to exist, without renouncing her freedom. 5. Creation of the pan flute. The creation of the flute from the transformed reeds is the culmination of the obsession that characterizes this god. When Pan reaches the riverbank, searching for Syrinx, he hears the gentle sound that the reeds, now transformed, produce in the wind. This sound, sweet and melodious, is the last evidence of the nymph he had pursued mercilessly. Unable to find Syrinx in her original form, Pan decides that the sound she produced is enough to preserve her in his memory. He cuts the reeds and, with his own hands, creates the flute that would become a symbol not only of his obsession, but also of his attempt to possess her forever. This flute, known as the Pan flute, is, in reality, a sad yet beautiful reminder of the god's inability to comprehend the true nature of love and desire. He cannot possess her in a genuine way as he wished, but through an object, he tries to capture something that, in truth, can never be owned. The flute thus represents the relentless pursuit of something that, although longed for, cannot be controlled or imprisoned. The sound it produces, while melodic, is also a melancholic reminder of his loss. The moral of this story rests in the fact that when we try to force a relationship or attempt to hold on to something that does not belong to us, the outcome is never satisfying. Pan, in his attempt to capture the essence of Syrinx, ends up creating something that is not her but merely an echo of his unrequited desire. The flute, therefore, symbolizes the frustration and futility of trying to dominate that which cannot be possessed. For musical symbol, the pan flute, now created, transcends its status as a mere object. It becomes a powerful symbol in Greek mythology, by extension, a metaphor for Pan himself. The sound it emits, gentle and natural, is not merely music. It is an echo of the god's desire, an attempt to keep his obsession for syrinx alive. The flute thus acquires significant symbolic weight. It represents the attempt to capture the ephemeral, to eternalize the fleeting. When Pan plays the flute, he not only revives the moment he heard the sound, but also brings to the forefront the pain of loss and the frustration of unfulfilled desire. However, there is an undeniable beauty in the music that the flute produces, a beauty that, paradoxically, arises from suffering. The sound of the flute is sweet yet marked by the absence of syrinx. This paradox leads us to reflect on the power of art and music, which often emerge from deep pain. Thus, the pan flute is not merely an expression of desire, but also evidence of the human capacity to transform sorrow into something beautiful, something eternal. The music of Pan, therefore, teaches us that even the most complex emotion, like desire and loss, can yield artistic value, but that value is never without cost. Furthermore, the pan flute reveals the power of memory and lament. Even if Pan's desire was never reciprocated, he manages to eternalize his experience through music. This prompts us to reflect on how, often, our obsessions and losses, when they cannot be healed, become sources of creation. Music, no matter how sad its origin, has the power to touch hearts and transcend the suffering of its creator. 3. The sound of the reeds. The sound that the reeds emit when the wind blows is the point of transition between Pan's relentless pursuit and the acceptance of loss. For Pan, the sound that reaches his ears is, paradoxically, a reminder of the nymph he will never possess. The sound, soft and enigmatic, is like a whisper from nature, a hidden message that, while drawing him, simultaneously disappoints him. The sound of the flute, generated from the reeds, becomes a testament to a search that has been frustrated, but also to a transformed desire. This sound, which Pan interprets as a reflection of syrinx, reveals something crucial about the nature of loss and longing. What he hears is not the presence of syrinx, but her absence. This melodic sound is not the fulfillment of desire, but the acknowledgement that something lost will continue in another form, in a language that only those who have experienced the pain of loss can understand. The beauty of the sound, while soft, carries an inevitable sadness. It teaches us that memory, no matter how beautiful, is also imbued with silent pain. Here, nature becomes a mirror of the human condition. The sound of the reeds speaks to the permanence of memories, of things we can no longer touch, but that continue to affect us deeply. Just as the wind makes the reeds sing, time makes memories echo in our hearts. The sound that Pan hears is the art of lament, the recognition that desire, when unfulfilled, does not vanish. It transforms into something that persists yet can never be fully grasped, too. Dual nature of Pan is an ambiguous figure, a personification of nature, its rawest and most untamed form. He embodies both aspects of creation and destruction, as if he reflects the natural forces that cannot be controlled, the fertility of the land and the irrationality of storms. His body, half human and half animal, symbolizes this duality. On one hand, he is the god of forests, pastures, and mountains, ruling over a realm of nature that pulses with life. On the other hand, he is also the lord of disorder, a god whose unchecked passions can generate chaos and suffering. This duality of Pan leads us to reflect on the nature of our own emotions and impulses. The desire he represents is something we all carry within us, but his incessant pursuit, without regard for the limitations of others, serves as a warning about the dangers of unrestrained desire. Pan reminds us that natural forces, like our deepest emotion, can be both creative and destructive depending on how we manage them. He is a mirror of our most primal instincts, those we may try to tame, but if left unrecognized and unrespected, can drag us into the abyss. Furthermore, Pan's figure challenges the notion of divine perfection. He is not an idealized god like Zeus or Athena, but a being that encapsulates the most instinctive and less glorious elements of existence. This leads us to question our own pursuit of perfection and to accept that, just like nature, our essence is marked by imperfections. Pan, therefore, is not only a symbol of desire, but also of human complexity, capable of creation and destruction, of being both sublime and grotesque at the same time. 1. The moral of Pan and the wisdom of mythology. Throughout the story of Pan and Syrinx, we see the conflict between desire and freedom, between the pursuit of power and the preservation of autonomy. Pan, with his obsessive pursuits, represents those who fail to understand the limits that morality and respect impose on desire. His relentless chase for Syrinx and, later, his attempt to immortalize the memory of the nymph remind us that true love and genuine connection cannot be forced or manipulated. Unreciprocated desire, if left unchecked, leads to pain, frustration, and a loss of our own humanity. Moreover, the story presents a reflection on the nature of consent and personal freedom. Syrinx, transforming into a reed, not only escapes physically, but also preserves her dignity and identity. She teaches us that, no matter how powerful external pressure may be, there is always a way to remain true to oneself and protect what is most our freedom. Her transformation also points to the power of adaptation in the face of oppression. When we cannot fight directly against something, we can seek other forms of resistance, preserving our essence without compromising our integrity. Finally, Pan's flute serves as an eternal reminder that the relentless pursuit of something that cannot be possessed only leads to emptiness. The sound of the flute, while beautiful, is permeated by the pain of loss and the awareness that often what we desire most is, in fact, what we cannot have. Pan's music, though filled with beauty, carries the melancholy of an unending quest. This mythological tale, rich in symbolism, is not merely a narrative about a god, but a mirror of the human condition. It invites us to reflect on desire, freedom, consent, and the pursuit of true happiness, teaching us that respect for others' wills is fundamental to avoiding the harms of selfishness and obsession. By examining Pan and his trajectory, we can learn the importance of recognizing our own limits and the consequences of our impulses. In conclusion, we reflect on the myth of Pan, whose complexity and depth offer us a valuable lesson about human nature. By contemplating his actions and those of his followers, we can enhance our understanding of morality and the relationship between desire and freedom, essential elements for grasping our own humanity. Did you enjoy this surprising story of Pan and Syrinx? If you were as fascinated as I was by this mythology full of lessons and reflections on desire and freedom, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here, we explore myths, legends, and powerful stories that make us see the world and ourselves in a completely different way. Click the subscribe button now and activate the notification bell so you won't miss any exclusive content. Join our community and continue this journey of incredible discovery. See you in the next video.